Hey,
Hey,
bonjour Julie.
bonjour David. C'est comme si c'était hier.
Oh, it's been such a long time.
Yeah, and I was just saying it's like it was yesterday.
I know, isn't it just so funny? How have you been?
I've been great. Better and
Good,
better.
good. You look really well.
Thank you. You?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a nice warm day here in Scotland today, so sun is shining.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
shining.
Yeah. Yeah, it's shining here too. I was wondering if I could do it from from outside.
Oh, all right. That's
But
nice. Look at all
it's
the green trees you have there. That's beautiful. Look at that.
nice, huh? Let me show you a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Our little apartment at the mountain.
Hmm.
I'm with Ginger right now.
Oh, hi, Ginger.
It's right nearby a ski resort.
Oh, look at that.
So
That's
on the other
amazing.
side of these three, just behind
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
there's a ski slope.
Ah, perfect. And you're a skier. So,
Yes. Well, a
so
little bit. I do many different activity, a little bit of alpine ski, but hiking mostly. I love hiking in the mountain with Ginger. We have this little pool there.
oh, wow, what a beautiful location.
Yeah, and I can mountain bike. It's perfect. I wonder if I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
sit here to record. It's really nice.
Ah, good.
We'll see. Maybe there's a little bit of wind. So it's mostly gray in Scotland during winter, or how's
Yeah, it's changeable actually. In May, we had really kind of hot spell. We had about 3 weeks where it was, well, I mean, I say hot, it was like 20 degrees Celsius. So, but for Scottish people, that's really hot.
Oh, it's really hot.
Yeah.
Funny.
Then it's been kind of changeable after that. We had quite a bit of rain, and then the last few weeks have been kind of up and down. But today is nice, so
Mm,
we
great.
count our blessings.
It's been the same here. It's been very rainy and windy, and
Hmm.
now it's getting much more better.
Good, good.
Good to
So
see you
you've
anyhow.
been up to lots of interesting things
Yeah,
since
unexpected.
we last met. You've been
Yeah.
co-writing books and doing some
Yeah.
really amazing things. So what have you been up to?
Functioning from effortless being, right? It's so
Yeah.
easy and just surprising, right? It's like, oh, how
Yes.
can that be
Yes.
for
It's
the
so much
mind?
more, it's so much more fun. Life is so much more fun than it used to be.
Oh my God. I mean, I can't believe the difference.
I know.
I mean, the mind like could never imagine how easy it can be and how happy we can be. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
like, wow, the contrast
I
is so,
know. I know. And this kind of you know, this kind of positive thinking and trying to make things right and make things better and make things well. It's so draining, isn't it, when you just leave things alone
yeah,
and infinite being just takes care of everything
yeah.
so much better than
Than you
any
could ever imagine.
than you could
Any
ever
control.
imagine. Yeah, anything that you could possibly think of, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a journey though. It's been a
Yeah.
sometimes the intuition would nudge me somewhere and I was like, oh no, I don't want to do this. But I just went with intuition and I
Mm.
always found what was needed and unpacked more and more belief around efforting and around fear of lack, especially.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I love that unpacking it. Yeah, you just slowly like the trust builds and the fear disappears like in equal
Yeah.
measure like this. And
Yeah.
then you start every little every little synchronicity, every little mysterious alignment that
Yes,
happens. You
mysterious
just
alignment, and you're like, well,
you just say, oh, that's cool. And it just yeah, it just your trust grows, doesn't it? And then
yeah,
the fear and the way things used to be just slowly starts to die
yeah.
away. I think we've just summed up this integration very, very succinctly there, haven't we? That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a gradual retrieving from functioning from efforting and mind,
Yeah,
and it becomes, and the
absolutely.
trust, the more you trust, the more you trust. So there's an
Yeah.
intelligence behind it. So it's
This absolutely, and being infinite, there is no end to this sort of refining and this trusting, and it's incredible, isn't it?
yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and I also found that there's more and more consciousness about when I do something, I receive energy from it, and I
Mm,
give energy at the same time.
mm,
So energetically, in our conversation, there's something happening that there's high energy, and we both, I assume, will leave the conversation energized.
yes.
And so I find that when you align to that, I might give group coaching and people come and they will
Mm,
feel energized by the coaching. They're not going to leave with less than they had when
mm,
they came in, and I am not going to leave with less.
mm.
So it's always win-win with effortless being.
Yeah.
From this point of view, it's always a win-win-win. Everyone leaves energized. So I am now more conscious about interaction that are starting to feel efforting and depleting in the
Yeah.
moment. I'm not saying like I'm thinking about all these people. And just when I am in it, I'm, oh, okay. And I'm not gonna battle the mind. I can play a little bit of ping pong, like you say ping, I say pong, ping pong. But
Yeah.
if it becomes too heavy, I'm like, oh, whatever.
Becomes a game of squash, then we just stop. Yes. And you're sweating and
Yeah, yeah. Let's just stay here. There's nothing to change
yeah,
right now in this moment, and just
yeah.
realize
I
again.
love that. I love that that image of the energy exchange because it really is, isn't it? That kind of reciprocal, flow of energy and that resonance between two people. That's something I've learned a lot in the last couple of years. So I started working for a mental health charity in Scotland. And
Oh,
so every day I support people who have severe and enduring mental health issues like, schizophrenia and bipolar or uh,
mm,
ADHD or addictions and these type of um, or mental health issues because of addictions. And so I'm often in really kind of intense, heavy one-on-one situations. But I
oh,
found, that not in the beginning, when I started this, there was a little bit of kind of battling the situation, and
ah,
um, because you are going in to support
yeah,
people with quite difficult traumas and backgrounds and things. Um, but the more you kind of go in there from obviously from effortless being from this place of richness, this place
yeah.
of presence, and and they resonate with that because that's something that most of them, their whole lives have been in hospitals or surrounded by medical professionals telling them this and that and another thing. But when you go there from this really, really deep place of inner knowing your true nature, and obviously their true nature is one and the same.
Yes,
So
yes.
there's a deep place of resonance
Mm.
there. And I found that even in the most difficult and harrowing and tricky interactions, when you approach it from that really deep place with no expectation, just sitting in that moment with them, they resonate, they feel something that they haven't really felt before
Ah.
at a deep place. And it's remarkable what kind of support you can give people when you approach it from that
And
perspective.
and at the same time, you're not depleting yourself of trying and thinking right, or worrying or
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes you get really tired.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, you start to understand how that can be let go because you can go into these situations where it's really heavy and there's quite a dense, energy exchange, but um, so long as you keep identifying with the energy, then you kind of get stuck
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And but recognizing that you've taken on quite a lot of heavy energy, but knowing yourself as the infinite
Yeah.
being,
Yeah.
um, when you just come back to that and rest there in that situation, then that energy is dissipates
It
within you.
doesn't leave residue. That's the beauty about
Yes.
realization. There is no residue when it's
No.
you're in it and then it's done and then nothing has changed. It's just the same
Yes.
pristine awareness that's not changed by anything. That's
That's right.
it brings I find a layer of play
Yeah.
because I'm not saying like that this is not serious and that you're not,
Mm,
like really in compassion with them,
mm,
anyone that's suffering for sure.
mm.
But in our own existence, there's the playfulness that is already back because the realization is nothing has changed. Unconditioned awareness is not
No, no,
changed by
no.
any experience.
Yeah,
It is
that's right.
still fully
Mm,
present, always
yes.
been here, always gonna be here. Nothing you can do
Yeah,
that's gonna make it go away because it's what you are. It's
yeah.
already on.
That's right. Yeah, and even the seriousness of dealing with something incredibly difficult is
Yeah,
part of the game. And it's, as you say, it's not to trivialize the suffering or the trauma that people have been through, but even all of that can be seen as part of the play, let's say.
yeah,
It's just this great the great play,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there are comic characters and there are serious characters and there are those who have
All
different
full
background.
character and
Yeah, that's right. And so it's all of that, but it's seen to be just to be a play, isn't it? That we engage in, but are untouched by
yeah,
ultimately.
untouched by. That's the magic. It's
Yeah,
amazing, this
yeah.
realization. And it's
Because
so
it's
simple.
interesting to I like how you talk about it as a game also though, because that's for me the I often laugh at this because the parallel between the taking life too seriously, during that sort of seeking phase, isn't it? When
Mm,
when it's really like these children, when they first start playing a game like hide and seek, that it's fun
yeah,
in the beginning, right?
yeah,
And then if you keep repeating that again and again, it starts to get a little bit boring. So they have to kind of invent new rules and to make it more interesting. But it gets a little more serious then, right?
yeah,
And then, the rules get more fanciful and then, it gets more and more serious. So eventually they just kind of like, "Oh, I'm not playing this game anymore."
yeah,
And then that's kind of like, when consciousness reveals itself, it's like, okay, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not playing this game of limitation, right?
yeah.
Um, and then sometimes you go back to it though,
Oh yeah,
go back to the game, and then but the time that you spend playing it is much less because you remember that it wasn't that much fun the last time. So you try again, but
yeah,
you're like, no,
yeah,
no, it's more fun. And then you stop again, and then you maybe come back to it again. But the time and time that you keep coming back and identifying as
yeah,
the characters in the game become less and less and less and less and less. And as we were saying, like this, yeah, so
yeah,
the less and
yeah.
less you're identifying with the character, the more you're remaining as this effortless infinite being.
And the realization is quite simple if anyone is watching or listening. It's
Yeah.
realizing that there is a background to your experience.
Yes.
There's not just the foreground, this energy, emotion, thoughts, and the body. There's a background. And that background is what we are. It's the bigger, the wider aspect of us. It's the space, this field in which
Yeah.
we
How would
here
we exactly? How would we ever know the foreground if there wasn't something that it was, contrasted
on
against?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I love that analogy because it's the cinema screen and the movie image and thing, isn't it? That kind of
Yeah.
an analogy. Um, yeah, and it's noticing that you are that background within which or on which
Everything is happening.
everything is being projected, is seemingly appearing.
Yeah.
But then the key is, of course, that this background is entirely untouched. also
entirely unchanged by the picture.
highly influenced.
When the film is over, the background remains as it ever was
Yes,
in its
yes,
pristine, most full,
yes, yes.
pure, empty. Yeah. Oh, and I have an analogy I wanted to share in our conversation I
Yeah, please.
yesterday. We're now driving around in a Tesla. And the Tesla, it's amazing because you don't have to turn it on when you sit in.
Hmm.
It's already resting there. And as
Right.
soon as you press the gas, the
Uh-huh.
electricity comes up and the car runs. And then, of course, you have to plug it in to recharge. And
Hmm.
it's a little bit how I see the body now. It's resting. It's always on. Effortless awareness is always on. It doesn't turn off at night.
Yeah.
And the body is resting in it and being recharged by source energy. And
Yes.
then we press the gas pedal
I love that.
and engage the mind in
And
here and the
and
body move
boom,
and that's it. And then you're moving around and
and
you
then
have
you're
the
on.
impression of being somebody going somewhere, which is
Yeah.
a total illusion.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Awareness is
I
not
love
going
that analogy.
anywhere.
That's really good.
It's the
I
same.
love that.
It's amazing. I was sitting in the car. I'm like, wow, technology is already catching up. Kind.
I think you're just trying to tell everybody that you have a Tesla.
You do, yeah.
I
It's
know I don't, but you do.
but the body, I see it as an amazing technology. It's an amazing
Yeah.
car, and it takes us places,
Yes, yes,
and it
yes.
gives us an experience. Just like the car, when you go drive
Yeah.
the car, it takes you places, but you're not saying, I am the car.
No. You know, I had another analogy which is kind of similar to that, with the body is the vehicle and God is at the wheels. But the interesting thing is like everybody is running around, driving around, worried about having a car crash, you know?
Yeah,
But you don't have to worry because God is at the wheel.
yeah,
Infinite is at the wheel.
yeah. And have you found that making the difference between a finite mind and infinite mind is really something that's quite helpful?
Yeah, I found that really a deepening understanding of the vehicle, as you say, the body vehicle, and the world, and that because that's an easy place where people kind of get st stuck with the separation, isn't it? Like there's the body here and the world out there,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, yeah.
and especially working, as I said, especially working with people who have, mental ill health, I found them to be really some of the most wonderful people I've ever met and some of the most sensitive
Mm,
beings I've ever
mm.
met.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I pondered this and I pondered this, you know, and I also look at myself, I'm also quite sensitive in the sense of like,
Mm,
I find it very difficult to be in like crowded places or like
mm, mm.
cinemas these days. I don't know if you've been to a cinema recently, Julie, but like they're so noisy
Yeah.
compared to like,
I mean, the most I can be is around 4 or 5 people at the same time,
yeah. So I'm the same. Yeah, I just cannot deal with that.
and not
So
for too long.
yeah, not for too long. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And so I've been pondering this a lot because when you're working with people like that, you're forced into a lot of self-reflection. You
Mm-hmm.
realize that you can't help others unless you help yourself. You cannot be with vulnerable people unless you yourself are vulnerable and you come from that place of vulnerability. And so you realize early on that, and it's really helped me in this job to
Mm.
just deepening and deepening and deepening. And so I found that a lot of the people I support are highly sensitive, especially maybe those with autism and things like that. They're really super, sensitive to loud noises and bright sound and all the rest of it. And also in more subtle ways, a lot of them are really intuitive, very, very, very
Uh-huh.
intuitive.
You can feel energy like
Yeah,
behind the words. Like,
yeah.
uh,
And I've thought a lot about it, and it led me to really think about this, the way our senses work and the way that we perceive the apparent outside world, because you know, the way that the world appears to you and I is not actually the way the world is. It's only
mm-mm.
the
No, no,
way,
it's just senses, limitation of
yeah,
senses
that's right. It's
and
just
thoughts applied on.
correct. So it's just the way that the world appears through our sense
Yes,
perceptions,
our limited sense. Even the
our
dog
limited
doesn't have the
sense.
same perception.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so, yeah, you said the dog there, and it's interesting because like a dog can hear much higher frequencies
Yes.
than we humans can. So our ears are, of course, naturally limited to hear within that kind of set frequencies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a kind of analogy that I had was that if you were in a submarine and you're deep in the ocean in a submarine, you actually have no direct experience of the outside ocean.
Yeah.
You only have like the instruments which are on the in the control room of the submarine.
Yes.
And those instruments can tell you the depth that you're at, the water pressure, the water temperature,
Hmm.
whatever.
You're just looking through the instrument.
You're just looking through the instruments. That, as far as you're concerned, the outside world looks like the instrumentation of a submarine.
Yeah. Have you heard about
And
Bernardo Kastrup?
a little bit, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's
I think
speaking
he has a
about
kind
this
of
with the
similar
cockpit of
one.
a plane,
Right, okay, right,
looking through the instrument. Yeah.
right. So it's kind of like that. Like it's just this instrumentation. So if then your submarine has its computer is let's say the main computer of the submarine is programmed differently so that I don't say damaged, but I'll just say programmed
Different.
differently,
Yeah. Yeah.
then um, these sensors can pick up more information.
Uh-huh.
And so what I found is that the people that I'm supporting in mental health is like, although in many ways their brain mechanism, their computer, if you like, doesn't work in the way that say ours does, but on the flip side, they are so much more sensitive to
Uh,
things that you and I are not.
yeah.
And it kind of it reminds me of like the blind seer, the old man who is completely blind, but consciousness has redistributed itself through the other senses,
Yeah.
which is much more heightened, and that
Mm.
includes
Yeah.
intuition and things like that. So yeah, so it's that understanding of the wholeness, the oneness of everything,
Mm.
and um, and how this vehicle that we have, is just it's a limitation, as you say, it's a limited view of the world, but we can, of course,
So you
transcend.
felt that with the finite and infinite kind of alignment, what I meant was, and let's open it up. Like I meant, like the finite is you should, you must, you have to do this, you have to
Mm,
meditate, you have to do your, and the infinite it would be enjoyable to eat this, or it comes with ease. Like it,
mm,
how fun would that be? And then as you move towards it, it appears. That's my experience.
yeah.
And it serve the whole. So do
Yes.
you find like sometimes people get tripped up in this, like because you can fall into the trap of trying to manifest something.
Yes.
Like I want so that I can get, but it's
Yeah.
this different. It's more you receive this inspiration.
Yeah, you
If you
receive
gently,
inspiration.
easily move towards it, you see that it is first for your own benefit.
Yes.
And then for that of the others around you, it serves the whole.
That's
But
right.
it
It's more
sometimes
holistic.
it doesn't, sometimes like it, in my experience, the mind might say that's completely crazy. Don't,
Yeah,
don't,
so
don't go there. It's dangerous. Or
yeah, I mean, anytime that the sort of finite manifesting comes in, it's always coming from this place of lack. And so anything that you're manifesting is you're just manifesting your own fears.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but when you're coming from this place of wholeness where you know yourself as everything.
Yeah.
So you know yourself as everything, you don't lack anything. And
Yeah.
you have no desire for anything
Yeah. That's it.
either.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that this sort of thought comes up like I'd like an ice cream. Okay, great, go and have an ice cream. But so what? It's coming up by itself.
Yeah.
That's fine. And yeah, as you say, absolutely. Like when you're coming from that place, it's just inspiration feeds inspiration feeds inspiration.
And
Uh,
course correction happens fluently and easily.
yes,
Something is
yes,
let go because it's not, that fun
yes.
anymore, or it doesn't feel
Yes, and
the right thing to
it's
do.
serving a bigger, a wider purpose, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I use the example of me getting this job. So when we talked last time a couple of years ago, like I was unemployed and I was looking for work, and I was really I couldn't believe how difficult it was to get a job.
Oh,
Because I'd been living abroad for a while and then
oh yeah.
I'd moved back here and I needed to eat and pay my
Yeah, yeah,
rent.
at some point, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Life goes
so
continue.
life goes on in this 3D world, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but interestingly, there was still a lot of egoic thinking in it because there was this kind of thinking pattern, which was, oh, I need a particular type of job. I need to be doing, because there has been self-realization, I ought to be doing this or I ought to be doing that.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's a lot of this trying to manipulate, and of course, nothing was coming. Nothing
Uh,
was coming.
yeah.
And I was at the stage when I was starting to get, my funds were going down. I had to borrow some money from my sister, and I eventually I got down to this point where there was a job came up to clean the public toilets in a village not near from here, and I thought, right, nothing wrong with that. I can go and do that.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as I was willing to do that, then boom.
Mm.
This
Wow.
job in the mental health thing came up.
Wow. Yeah.
Why? Because and that job is serving a higher purpose. It's serving
Yes. It's
something
the right place.
more than little me, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it was so
You have the
interesting that
tool and you have the what is needed for the job.
yes, yes. And so
Oh,
and
nice.
then it was and then you sort of you just align with that, you accept that, you hand the baton over to infinite
Yeah,
being.
yeah. I went
And
through a similar process.
did you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was uninspired by my job for a few years, even though it was nice. There was nice people. I was working with nice people and nice condition, good salary, good vacation, lots of freedom. But I was not uninspired by it, so I knew I had to let it go.
Yeah.
But then there was this sub spiritual blanket on top of it. You should be okay with everything,
Yeah.
Now that there is self-realization, you shouldn't be looking for anything else than what you have, and you should be content. You should, né? Should.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it isn't, I had to let it go. And then I had this spark of intuition and aliveness and joy in feeling I could be a coach.
Mm.
And it's something that never came up as a thought in my life ever. Like it
Yeah.
couldn't be because I used to function a lot from contraction and a
Mm.
lot of suffering and a lot of sense of separation. I felt really, really separate, me against the world. And it's hard
Yeah.
I couldn't have this thought of, I couldn't receive this thought of becoming a coach as long as I was in that state. So it came just at the right time. And then I had to let go of um, this wonderfulness about this wonderful job that this is. I had to surrender it all. I went through, I did some of the training, and it's when we met, I was
Mm.
starting to do it. But as long as there was fear of it not happening, it could not happen.
Of course.
And at
Yeah.
some point, I was like, okay, I'm okay. I can go work anywhere. I don't mind. I
Mhm.
can go work anywhere.
Yeah.
I surrender it all. I can die alone in a small apartment as long as I have a little plant and there's a grocery store where I can go to work. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing. I can be happy there, happy here. I don't need it. And when this neediness around it, there was more possibility
Yeah. I
to
love that.
also
Exactly
take
the
some
same.
movement that's appeared to be really, really weird because I subscribe to a platform to upload online course, but I had absolutely no client. Who's gonna do that? I was paying it, making it look good,
Yeah.
uploading
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
course. There was nobody there.
Yeah. I think that that was the same platform. I also subscribed, but I stopped it like almost
Yeah.
immediately for this very reason.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's still there and it's been like quite good. It's been really good for me and for those
Oh,
who
that's good
came and
then.
went.
Oh, that's good. That's
And
good.
some stayed longer and it's
Mhm.
still ongoing.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, I'm glad that's worked out for you then.
Yeah, yeah, and it served me first because every course
Mhm.
that I did for my own integration.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's always like just we teach what we need to learn, I find.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? It's just you have to be so open and just, you learn things, always learning from the experiences and from others.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, because I'm gonna be busy later, I'm gonna do all this. I open all the channel to receive money. Like, let's
Yeah.
open this account and that account. There was no money in, and there was nothing happening. But I was
Yeah.
like, but late, I'll be busy, so let's just get ready. And all the while, it's effortless being just shining through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like for me, there is no doubt that something will or won't happen. It's just what is coming through. It's gonna unfold.
Yeah, I love that. It's just having that openness, isn't it? The openness. In fact, it's funny you should say that. I was talking to somebody at the gym this morning, who I just got into conversation with a few weeks back, and he's a former prison officer. There's a big prison quite near where we work, and he used to work in there as a prison officer, and he had to retire, and because of he had quite bad PTSD from his time in working in prison, and we just ended up getting chatting in the gym one day, and and he was like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm still going through therapy, but I need to find another job." And he told me I bumped into him this morning after a couple of weeks I hadn't seen him, and he was looking so much better. He was looking
Oh,
like 10 years younger. He was lighter. His complexion was better. He was smiling. And I said to him, like, "You look great. Like, what's happened?" And so he told me like a couple of days ago. So he was driving down the road and he was lost in his thoughts and he took a wrong turn and he went up this road that he didn't mean to go up. And he remembered that he had a friend he hadn't seen in a while up that road. He accidentally
okay.
drove up, so he stopped, and
Uh-huh.
he said to the friend, "Hey, I haven't seen you for ages. I just thought I'd pop in." And his friend made him a cup of tea and said, "So are you still working in prison?" He's like, "No, I'm looking for a job." He said, "No, it just so happens, I have a position available in my company. Like, do you want to start next week?" And he was like, "Yeah." So it was just, and we were joking this morning. I said,
Wow.
"You know why?" I said to him, like, "That's because you were so open. You were just really open to receive.
Yeah.
You were not putting limitations on it, like, I need to do this. It needs to be this type of thing, that
This
type of
way or
thing."
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's fair that way. There's no limitations on it. So yeah, it was funny just a few hours ago. Same situation.
Yeah, and it's been there. It's like there's also another realization that comes with integration. Like it's always been this way. There was never a controller. Because at first you're like, before I was the controller, now I'm not. No, no, no. There was never a controller. You are
Yeah.
always guided like either by inspiration or fear. And I
Yes.
can see where I took like inspiration guided me through this and that, and then fear, oh, made this happen. Like this experience of lack that I went through was because I lack fear of lack of this,
Yeah.
fear of lack of that, or too much opinion and contraction created a drama. But so it's always been this way. It's either you are guided by contraction or you are guided by inspiration and intuition. So nothing really changes.
No, not at all. And it's just you recognize that unfolding, don't you? Like more and more, and you just you allow that unfolding to take place,
Yeah,
more and more. And it's wonderful going back like out into the world now and just seeing what happens. Like, and
yeah,
as I say, like that chap I met in the gym, like, he's not the type of person I would normally like go and make friends with, but it's like something there was something there, and
yeah, yeah.
so it's wonderful like that these interactions and the way that life just unfolds and yeah, and sometimes there's opportunities to talk about effortless being, people and things, and when there is, that's great, and when there's
If there
not, that's
isn't, it
fine.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You
Yeah,
just get on with doing what you do,
yeah. It's linked with the absence of grading. Oh, this
Hmm.
is better than that. That's the bliss of you lose the gradation. So then
Hmm.
with that, you lose the wanting and the needing.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Curiosity,
Yeah.
curiosity.
Yeah, it's this innocence. I love the Indian philosopher Krishnamurti. He just says you just go from innocence to innocence to innocence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's almost like you go 360 back to the eyes of a child again, the way we were when we were just born, that
Yeah.
pure innocence, just pure awareness,
Yeah.
just everything just appearing in a singular field of awareness. And then, once you start thinking and then you start believing the thoughts and then all
Yeah,
that
the timeline
the
reconstruct,
story
linearity,
the story
something.
starts.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's almost like you're sort of coming full circle to this just being the innocence of the child, not with the ability to step into
with the
the
wisdom of
character,
an adult.
with
That's
the
the
wisdom
beauty
of an
of it.
adult.
So
That's
would you
right.
say like it's kind of for me it appears to be the normal kind of come normal to come this joy of coming back to innocence with the wisdom.
Mm.
To me it appears like there's an intelligence behind that. It's not nothing is a mistake. It's
Yeah.
just sad when people don't find like don't realize this, and it's just because of the belief system that is very strong, because when we come to
Mm.
our direct experience there is nothing out there
Mm.
unless I made it in my mind,
Mm.
unless I make it up.
Mm.
And it's hard for people to just go to direct experience and see it for themselves, because
Yeah,
the
it's
thought
like
is, no, you're crazy. Like, of course there's something out there. There isn't. It's kind of, we're all the one man show.
I know, but it's just that programming of society at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you look at the whole world and 99% of people are doing the same thing, so you think that's normal.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you think that's normal, but intuition is kind of guiding us to question all of it. Like,
Yeah,
start to question, is it true? Like,
yeah,
for me,
absolutely.
I was receiving a lot of abundance, but I was still in fear of lack. And I was like, is it true?
Yeah.
I mean, how much more would I need to be satisfied? And why am I not satisfied? But then you realize it's not you that's not satisfied. It's the mind that's always calling you into creating and finding something else.
Yeah.
It's not present. Always goes to the next moment.
Yeah, it's like you're always home, but then you keep stepping outside your front door
That's it.
into the world every time. Every day, just keep getting up, step outside your front door.
Until you kind of just say, oh, enough of that. I just,
Enough of that. Yeah, that's right. But it's interesting you mentioned intuition because a lot of people, those who have recognized their true nature have always had those little
yeah,
niggling doubts about the world. I know I did for
me
years.
too. I
Since I
did.
was a child, I always had this kind of,
Uh,
everybody seems crazy. Like,
yeah,
this kind of niggling doubt. And it could have even lasted a few seconds, and then your parents tell you to do something and you're back
yeah.
into that
I actually
world.
remember unconditional love. I remember like, it doesn't make sense, like a God that's judging us. I
Mm,
was like, God is not judging us. God's love us.
mm,
That was my perception was, and I was very little. And I was questioning the concept.
mm.
Why are I told my mom, why aren't little person allowed to decide?
Oh, wow. And
as
what did
well
she
as big person.
and what did she say?
She said, because this is how it is. And I was like, this is not an answer. How come we can't do what we want all the time?
Yeah.
And she was saying, well, it can't. It doesn't work this way.
Yeah.
Why? I was like,
Yeah.
this is not an answer. You're not giving me an answer.
I suppose when you
It
phrase
is
it like
like
that,
that.
like a lot of children have these type of questions, don't they? There's a lot of, real pure innocence in that. Why can't I do it like this way? Like, who says I can't? Like,
Yeah, and what are you
yeah,
talking about? This
yeah,
problem? What are these problems that I don't see?
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
I even remember when my dad was coming back from work, and my mom would say he's back from work. I was like, where is that work? Is that there is something else that's not here?
yeah.
He's walking through the door coming from somewhere else. Like I
Mm.
couldn't come make up this. There was kind of a dissonance that there was somewhere else. And
For
I
you,
remember like this,
everything good enough right
that's the
here.
program. There's somewhere else. Something is
Yeah,
happening somewhere else.
it's funny. I
And it
used to
is
have,
and it isn't. I mean, I'm not saying like you're a ghost and you have your own slice of the universe.
hmm. Yeah, it's funny. I used to have similar things when I grew up in a little cottage in the countryside, and I used to find these little places where I could go and be by myself. I used to build like a little house, like out of just some garbage that was lying around. I just build it and go inside and just be
Ah.
still. And still remember these moments of just pure stillness with the wind blowing, like nobody was around and just completely present.
Mm, mm.
It's like when you're waking up from a deep sleep and you're just that feeling of, oh, I had a deep sleep. I felt that feeling of peace.
Yeah.
And yeah, there
Wow.
was moments of that where and you remember those, because
Yes,
it's so
that's it.
startlingly different and there you've touched your essence,
That's
you've
it.
touched it, but then your mum calls you
Go
and then you're
round.
right back into the world again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
those moments, I could tell you probably half a dozen of those
Yeah, me
times
too.
over since I was maybe 3, 4, that where I really had those moments of just complete peace, and then you go back into the world again. But that stays with you, and I think that
Yeah.
stays with that because that stays with you causes you to question
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah. And
chaos of
and the remembering, the recognition is easier because you're like, oh, that's the same thing.
yes,
That's the same
yeah,
awareness is there.
yeah.
That's the same recognition. I remember
Yeah, it's so funny. 'Cause I
10,
remember when I was living in Japan, I used to study Japanese archery, like Zen archery, and it was just very peaceful and meditative and very much a spiritual art, if you like. And I remember doing my examination for fifth Dan, and I've been doing this for about maybe 6 years, 5, 6 years up to that point. So all the training, like twice a week. And, I must have shot like over the space of 5 to 6 years, thousands of arrows, like thousands of times during practice and
mhm.
examinations. But there's one that I remember was my fifth Dan examination, the first arrow, because you only shoot two in every exam. The
Wow.
first one, and there was that. It was just something different.
Wow.
There was that place of what they call in Japanese or martial arts, no mind. This
Mm,
Mushin, no mind. So
mm.
and I always remember, like my teacher was always saying, like he could probably sense that I was quite good at slipping into that, or slipping into, like you always
Slipping
are,
in it like
the thoughts the
effortlessly.
thoughts not the thoughts not
Yeah, yeah,
being
yeah.
there. And then when you're practicing, of course, you try to force it a few times. And
Yes.
I remember he said to me, you recognize no mind afterwards.
Ah,
He says in Japanese, "Ato de wakaru."
wow.
Mushi no ato de wakaru, which means like after you recognize no mind afterwards. Because at the time there are no thoughts. That's why it's called no mind.
Yeah,
Mind is just a jumble of thoughts, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah, absolutely.
accumulation.
Yeah, it's
That's
the
what
zone
we
kind.
call, yeah,
You're in
what
the
we call
zone
mind is
suddenly.
just
I used to access that through playing tennis.
Ah,
It's
like the
almost
zone.
like there's nothing else in the world that exists,
Yeah,
and you're completely absorbed without me doing it. And everything is, it's not slow motion, but it feels like perfection itself.
yes.
And all the shots and the timing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then and then I used to have the thought, oh, we're good. And then it
That's right.
doesn't
And
work.
that's the difference, like that being in the zone and then recognizing your true nature. It's like when you're in the zone, because the activity is the it's a kind of activity focused
Yeah,
thing. So as soon as that activity stops, then you're back into mind
that's it. Yeah, yeah,
again, because you're kind of, it's like you're practicing. It's like that muscle memory is there. You're just like,
yeah.
golfers have the same thing, eh? Or
Same
anybody.
thing.
I
Yeah.
like Formula One. Formula One drivers have that as well. You've
Oh,
trained and trained
yeah.
and trained, so you're not thinking about what your body's doing, and then you're
No.
just letting go.
And
But it's
what
because
this arrow, this,
it's determined by the activity.
uh-huh. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then the
yeah.
activity finishes, then you're back into the
Yeah.
world
And
again.
when we try to find it, like let me find the zone, it doesn't work because there's
No.
a trying. And how about this arrow? Did this went perfectly?
Yeah, so it's that that was probably the best arrow of all the thousands, and it's the only one I remember because of that. I
Uh,
remember afterwards that, oh, I recognize
af-
afterwards
yeah.
that there was this period of no mind, when
Wow.
the arrow just went whoosh by itself and into the target, and and
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
I didn't do it. It just happened.
Yeah, it just
You
happened.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's
So
something like people get tripped up, like there's no doer. But
yeah.
there is this when we access intuition, it's not me. It's just pointing you back to your own wisdom, to you. It's not an activity of a doer.
Yeah, so I think with the intuition thing, the intuition and the bliss is so much is aligned with our true being, but even then there's a slight kind of stickiness to it, that
If I
our
believe that I have to bring something, that I have,
yes,
then
that
there's a stickiness. If
yes,
I
that's right.
totally relax the need for anything to happen, I'm not trying to change someone.
Yeah,
So, as a coach, it is the difference between wanting your client to have success so that you can feel value and recognize and reassure in your own value,
mm,
or relaxing the doer, knowing that whatever comes through is the right thing at
yeah,
the right time, and the client's success doesn't have anything to do with me. That's
that's right.
their own,
Journey.
yeah, and it is their birthright. It is to for them to align to their infinite intelligence and
That's
intuition.
right.
So there's nothing I can do other
No,
than point you back to that and trusting that, which is not something that I do as a person. Then I'm like, oh, I'm so good, I did it. I didn't do anything. I'm just the
go me. I'm
instrument.
such a good coach.
And
Yeah.
losing that is relaxing because then you don't like you're not like, oh, I hope my clients are good. I hope they come back. I hope there's no thing to
No,
hope there.
no, there's no expectation there. You do what you do in the moment, and then
Yeah, and
it's
there's no pride. It's not like I'm such a good person that I can do this.
yeah.
It cannot be owned.
No,
That's the
that's
beauty.
right. Yeah, it's interesting because the intuition and all that kind of thing, when we're everything becomes effortless, right through to the thoughts and the emotions are allowed to be in the physical body and everything. It's that alignment with our true nature. Our true nature just then permeates
It's open. It's
right
already.
through the entire human experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you can either attach yourself, as you say, attach yourself to the intuition by saying like, oh, it's my intuition,
Yeah.
or you're just that's where the stickiness is, as you rightly
Yeah.
say. Then, or when you're just noticing that intuition, as you notice your breathing, as you notice emotions come and go, and everything is just in alignment, pure alignment with being, and then. Yeah, you don't take credit for anything because like who's doing it anyway? And also you're not there's no expectation
That is gonna
that
produce. It's
yeah,
an intimacy with the moment, no matter what.
absolutely. And that's where it seems paradoxical at first, but it's that like no expectation actually produces better results.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
because I found this again going back to my work in mental health. Like when I first started it, um, it's very natural, I think, in the beginning to want to go in and try to
yeah.
help and fix and help and fix and help and fix.
Hmm.
But you soon realize that you actually get on better and create a better therapeutic relationship, and therefore have better quote unquote results by just going in there with no expectation whatsoever about how things should be, how
Yeah,
things should go,
yeah.
and meeting them at a much deeper place and then seeing what comes out of it, because it's not one man against the world. We're all in this cosmic soup together, like, so we're all in it,
Walking each other home, like it's
yeah,
infinite
and we're
being
helping.
revealing
And
itself to itself.
yeah, and I think as you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, like we're kind of helping each other,
Yeah.
they're teaching me as much as I'm teaching them. They're
Yeah,
helping
there's
me.
no hierarchy.
They have helped me see parts of myself that I've
Yeah,
needed to
yeah,
let go or whatever, as much as I've helped
yeah.
them, and you can't, so you realize that we're all in this together, and it's a beautiful, and that's where the beauty and you really start to, when you approach it like that, you really sense the divinity in the whole of and all of
Mm.
it.
That's
But
what we're craving. We felt we were separated from it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking back at my dad and I see how he was sensitive,
Mm,
very, very sensitive, very intuitive, and he couldn't, I think he was never able to integrate the human experience.
mm,
Like separation for him was really difficult.
mhm.
And I perceive now his alcoholism in a different lens, from a different lens,
Yeah.
from the perspective that it was too much for him. It was
Mhm,
very, he was interested in Krishnamurti, he was
mhm,
interested in depth, in emotional depth, and
mhm,
he was not, he was suffering the surface of things.
mhm.
But he had some fear of lack, which prevented him to do what he wanted in his life. Instead of following his heart, he just followed this program that he should be doing this or that.
Yeah. Mhm,
So he found joy in what he was doing. He was a teacher, but I know he was even more of an artist than that. He was
mhm,
like he would have loved writing, and he never did. But I now perceive that this is this sensitivity that made it hard for him to function in
mhm.
a world of perceived separation.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I see every day with the people
Yeah,
I support. It's such, they're so sensitive, and therefore they find it really, really difficult to function in the world. Unfortunately, Western medicine will say, here, take these drugs and you'll be able to function in the world. And,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay,
Or
maybe
change
that.
yourself or so would you say like when you come from a place of true acceptance,
Mm,
it's a permission. It's like it's a
it's just
reflection
be
that they can
you. Yeah.
assume to, oh,
Be who you are. Yeah,
yeah,
just be yourself.
it's
And
enough.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and because they're often wondering, oh, I'm somehow I'm damaged or I'm not right, and I should be, again, you're with the shoulds that you
yeah,
said,
yeah,
you should be
yeah.
like this or it should be like that, or my doctors tell me I need to do this or need to do that. And but when you come from this place of just be yourself, just be you. And
Mm.
it can be really difficult for people because, a lot of people, the reason they go to alcohol or drugs is that self-medication. They don't want to look at what's going on
Yeah,
within
deal with
them.
this shit because like I remember going through this process, and that's where we met when we met 4 years ago.
I think so,
I
yeah.
was kind of getting my head out of the water from this process of meeting everything like hopelessness and
Yeah,
absolute fear of existing and taking my space. And there was a lot that came to the surface with this
yeah. And that's
realization.
can be scary for
It
people.
is, yeah, yeah, but I find that when you plunge in it, when I go with the tantric approach, I'm more of the feminine side. Like just feel it all, like feel it even more.
Yeah.
Like be in love with the sensation. Because sometimes I realize with realization that I was never fully present with how does it feel to feel anger.
Mm.
I would be angry, I would show anger, but I would never take the time to feel in my body.
No, because there's always this feel, this kind of ashamed of, I shouldn't feel like this.
Yeah.
But when you actually feel anger
And
100%,
just like stay with it and
it's
allow it
true,
to
you know.
exist. It's a very
Yeah.
powerful energy. It's a creative
Yeah.
energy, in fact.
And that's where a lot of people kind of get confused with this idea, like I shouldn't be angry or I
Oh,
shouldn't be nervous and feel
yeah.
anxiety and they don't see the difference between like normal, healthy human emotions, which are perfectly natural, compared to unnatural emotions which come from this believing yourself to be a
Yeah,
separate
this
human
sense
being.
of anxiety that's never resting
Yeah.
or dread or that's
Yeah, so I was
sense of
talking with somebody a
separation.
few weeks ago. Somebody I was working with on a Zoom session, and she was saying that she was watching her son's baseball game, and she was feeling really anxious. And she said, "Why do I feel anxious?" Because I'm, and I said, "Well, because it's your son, you know, like it's normal, it's natural." And she kind of like was
Uh-huh.
surprised by that because. You know, this is perfectly natural, like you know, to this fight or flight, fight, flight or freeze responses, you know, you are programmed into the human creature, you know, it's like the feeling pain, you know, like
Hmm.
you know, the body wouldn't survive 10 seconds if it didn't feel pain. You know, imagine
Hmm.
if you fell down and bumped your head and you didn't feel pain.
Yeah.
Your body wouldn't know not to do it again.
Yeah.
So, so it's all of these things are completely natural. And
Hmm.
one of the stories I like to tell, because um, I read quite a lot about Zen and things when I was living in Japan, and one of the stories that always stuck with me is the one of the monk with sweaty palms, and this famous Zen master or monk, he was due to meet some local dignitary. And on the day of the meeting, he noticed his palms were really sweaty, and he thought to himself, "This can't be right. You know, I'm this renowned teacher. You know, why do I have sweaty palms?" He couldn't understand it, so he cancelled the appointment with the dignitary, and he went off, and he meditated for years and years, and became enlightened, you know. And that's
Okay.
the end of the parable. And of course, the parable doesn't say that, you know, after he recognized his true nature, that he no longer had sweaty palms.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that because why? Because like it's perfectly normal your fight or flight response as a creature, you know.
Yeah.
So there's that sort of recognizing that and recognizing that as such, so that we don't really need to bother talking about it because it's just normal, you know, physiology.
Yeah.
But then there's
Normal human
the other,
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but the other anxiety, which is and fear based on this feeling of separation and belief in being a separate self, that's an entirely
Yeah.
a different thing. So even, you know, when you recognize your true nature, you know, there's still moments where you can feel anger but the difference is that you feel it 100%. So you're
That's it.
becoming like you're more human afterwards. You're
Yeah.
becoming
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
you were not
Yeah.
completely human. You were
Yeah.
denying things. You're
Yeah.
being angry, but you were feeling like I shouldn't be angry. Or
Yeah.
you were being anxious, but you were saying I shouldn't be anxious. Like, and
Yeah.
there was constant, as you said right at the beginning of this, constant this ping pong or this
Yeah. Yeah.
battling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Accept
when there's
full
something comes up and you
acceptance.
feel it, you know,
And the magic is that with this full acceptance, it doesn't stick.
no,
It
no,
can't stick. It has nowhere to stick.
nothing to stick onto. That's right. I made a video a week or so ago called "From Stickiness to the Unstuck Self."
Mm.
And it was kind of talking about this thing that the self, our true self, is completely, nothing can stick to it. It's completely unsticky, unstuck.
Mhm.
So yeah, so things can come up and they go, and I've been amazed by that because you know, again, when you go out into the world and you're working in a company as I am, you know, you're not always kind of on the level of the character. You're not always getting along with everybody.
No.
But I noticed, as you've just said there, like something comes up. sometimes you need to show that anger or something, and but it comes up naturally and it dissipates just as quickly.
Yeah, there's no residue. Yeah.
No, and you're not thinking about it for 4 days afterwards.
No, yeah, you don't repeat the conversation. You're not correcting what should have I said. Or maybe I should have said
You're
this and I
calling your
said
friends to
that.
complain so that they can
Yes, talk
resonate with
about it
the
more.
same. You never believe what happened at work today because you want somebody to resonate at that really
Yeah,
low frequency.
I did that
None
so
of that.
much. Yeah, and none of it. Imagine all the energy that is freed just from that.
I know, I
Yeah,
know, I
the
know.
time.
It takes so much energy to uphold this
Yeah, the
idea of
character.
being this, yeah. And that's why when we see, I'm sure, when people you've worked with that have recognized their true nature, like you see this relief,
Yeah,
the energy just goes whoosh.
yeah.
Yeah, and suddenly it's almost like they de-age. They
Oh,
just,
yeah.
have you noticed that? Like in a split second, you see somebody just de-age by 10 years. It's a remarkable thing.
Yeah,
Just shows like
the
how
relief
much energy is being used to
caught up in here.
caught up and
Yeah.
maintaining this false identity.
Mm-mm. And there's a trap, though. I remember falling in it, and some people, like I'm not the only one to have fallen in it. Is at first you want to bring everyone in it.
Yes.
I was like, come on,
Yeah.
don't you see?
It's so simple. Come on, get
Yeah,
on.
and then you're like, okay, it doesn't work. That doesn't work. It
I
creates
know.
more separation.
It does. People just think you're crazy. Yeah.
And they don't want to hear about it. They're like, oh, why are you talking about this? And then it creates more and more separation. So like,
Yeah.
okay, it doesn't work.
It doesn't
Just
work.
just
Well,
drop, just drop it. It's so
drop
much
it. Yeah. And
better.
then exactly, it's so true. And then you realize that when you start dropping it, and you just go about your life openly, what happens? People are drawn to you. Who are there?
Yeah,
Who are
yeah.
able to resonate, and you find people just coming up and asking you a little question, or
Yeah.
just a little comment. You can see the inquisitiveness in their eyes, and
Mhm.
and you think, all right, well, maybe there's an opportunity to talk a little bit here, but if not, that's
And it
okay.
aligns with infinite intelligence because it's
Yes.
not done from I'm gonna try, because then you try with the wrong, like the person is not ready, the mind is too
Yeah.
strong, and you're like battling it. And
Yeah.
when you just relax, yeah, life is guiding. It's like your infinite intelligence is your personal assistant.
Yeah.
And like I heard David Bingham, our common friend, say that, and it is aligning the right people that needs to find the answer for themselves because they're not the people doing it. It's all along
Yeah.
infinite
That.
intelligence guiding
It's just
everyone.
this natural magnetism that
Yeah,
it
a
comes.
recognition of energetics. Um, yeah, it's beautiful. So I mostly support people integrate, in fact,
Mm,
the realization and free their voice and free this energy that are maybe have been suppressed or repressed and be.
yeah. Because the integration is interesting, isn't it? It's just, I mean, I can see it's so interesting, like meeting you today, like compared to like a couple of years ago, and like you're so much more. It's such a difference, And when
You
I met
too.
Rob the other day, we had a chat, and when I meet him now compared to when I first met him 4 years ago, when we were both like, 4 years ago, we were both like, oh my God,
Yeah, yeah.
being, like we were both sort of blissed out and just acting crazy. But
It's
like
settled down.
when it settles down, and there's this sort of
Mm.
this calming and peace just comes through, and it's so beautiful to see, to see
I
everybody just
also
like more
see it
settled.
in the eyes that I see the clouds passing
Yeah, yeah,
when there's thoughts that are adopted, and I remember seeing myself also with clouds, recording videos, and I see the clouds passing,
yeah.
and there is less and less. It's kind of clearing the lens,
It is, isn't it? Yeah,
and it gets like to stay clean and clear, and it's like
yeah.
I like the analogy of the windshield of the car.
Mm,
It doesn't. It's just there. It's just you're
yeah.
looking through this pure. Yeah.
Yeah, with no distortion. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. And it is, and then everything just whatever experience comes, it just comes. And
Mm. And there's so much love in there.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
It's
it's just
explosive. And people
you just
get tripped up by love sometimes. I see the trap of love, which is now I am awake, then I must be a loving person, and I must, and then there's this all this should again, and
yeah.
some self-sacrifice or overgiving and not. But the infinite being is really self-respect, self-integrity, and
Mm.
it's you can have the experience you want.
Yeah,
If
and
you,
love
if you
is
want to
some,
believe yourself to be a giving person and give, 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 and I mean, as come back to yourself and see if you feel nourished or depleted by things and
yeah, that's the key thing, isn't it? You always come back. Is this happening? And is there ease? Is it happening
effortlessly still
effortlessly?
nourishing because sometimes some things is meant to happen, but not forever.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
then just realign, is this still nourishing? Does this still fit my where I'm at?
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
we are all serving each other, and sometimes we
Mhm.
have to say thank you for your service, but they're not required anymore.
Yeah, and there's nothing. I found
And
that
with
actually.
gratitude, because we're all serving each other
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
There
Well,
are
I
no
found that
mistakes.
I'm much better at saying no than I ever was before.
Me too.
I used to be such a people pleaser, but
Me,
there's no peace in that,
no.
and there's no dignity in that,
Yeah.
yeah, when you I think David mentions this in his book actually, like, there's this false idea that, when you recognize your true nature, you just have to accept
Yeah.
everything. And that's not the case. There's
No.
a certain level of self-respect that comes along with it. And so I found that boundaries and the ability to say no has really strengthened.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Me too.
my life has improved dramatically because of it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that we're not compassionate and loving, but you can be compassionate and loving from a distance as well.
Yeah. And being true when even, is loving. If I say no because I don't want to do something I don't feel like doing, that's loving.
Yes, absolutely. Because doing it, is depleting you, draining you, and
And the
then
other, if I agree to do something with someone that I don't feel like doing, it's not of service. It's,
that's right.
yeah.
Absolutely. It all
Or,
just has to come from that right place. And as you say, your intuition is a good guide. But yeah, that as you say, yeah, the idea of love, a lot of people confuse it with this kind of sentimentality,
mm, mm,
which
mm,
is a
mm.
very different thing altogether. But I
Yeah.
often talk about love as just being like the scent of the flower, that it's very much part of the flower. The flower gives off the scent, it's part of it, it's an aspect of it, and this love that comes through this human expression is part of infinite being, is part of what you are.
It's the scent of the infinity.
And it's completely unconditional. The flower gives off its scent unconditionally, and infinite being gives off love unconditionally. Also, it's part of what you are. It's an aspect of what you are. So
Mm, mm.
it's like when you open the window and it comes through by itself, the light comes through, so you don't have to force it.
No, no.
And so it's there, it's just there, and people sense it and feel it. And like I was saying before, when I'm going in to support people in my job and things, you're coming from that place of love,
Yeah.
and they sense that, they feel that, and there's
Oh,
something
and I
beautiful can
feel
come
we
from.
could insert talking about money exchange here.
Oh,
Because if I give my presence, or my presence, not the personal presence, but when some people come in my coaching, they get the presence, they get the full acceptance that they're looking
yeah.
for themselves. And I kind of, it's like a serum. You give a serum, a truth serum or an elixir,
Yeah.
and they feel so good. And sometimes they'll say like, well, I'm okay when you are there, but when you're not there anymore, I can't find it.
Hmm.
But I cannot live my life beside you forever to give you the truth serum.
Yeah.
You gotta find it for yourself.
Yeah.
Gotta make it your own. I'm just like pointing you back to what
Yeah. I was just going
the
to say,
homework.
mm,
There
yeah.
is work until there isn't. But if I give you homework and I'm like, I don't know if it's the right thing for you. I cannot say. I
Mm,
can tell you it worked for me.
yeah.
And then do whatever you feel right because you are guided by your intuition and I don't know what is right for you.
That's right.
But then
Hmm.
if I don't take anything from it, I cannot go on and on like that, giving serum to everyone, and then I can't pay my house and I don't have money for my food. So what I decided to do was what would feel like an equal exchange from
Hmm.
where I at in my life. I don't need to be a coach. I can have a good salary doing what I was doing before, and there's a way
Mm,
to find job and I kind of just adjusted to my heart.
yeah.
And not many people align with the price, but that's fine. I'm not here to try and sell anything,
No.
and I'm not here to take anything from anyone and make an offer. And I found that those who need it find it
Mhm.
because I don't fear not having it.
Yes, that's right. You're not coming
It
from that
doesn't
place of
matter. I can go for a
yeah,
walk. I
yeah,
don't need a lot. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I have to settle for less than
no,
my heart's joy. And that is what I found what people are looking for is the balance of that.
yes.
To live in the
It's that
balance
equal
of your
energy
heart
exchange. Yeah, that's
where
right.
you know you are giving and receiving
Hmm.
and it's equal and you can decide it for yourself. I'm not the one
Yeah.
to tell you, but when people come, well, I should give it for free because it's grace and I'm like, is it really like why?
Yeah, no, I've been through
Why?
that too. I totally understand you. I've been through that, and that should, and again, it comes back to the should I, and you're
Fine.
listening to the mind. You're not coming from a deeper place of feeling and intuition. And yeah, I've tried different things. I've tried doing it for free. I've tried doing it with donations. I tried setting a price. Now I have a sliding scale. And I found that works the best. So I have here's a range of what I'm willing to accept, and this is the lowest that I'm willing to accept,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't really feel right accepting really any more than that.
Oh,
So just leave it there,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's it. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And it
and
doesn't mean that it has to be like for me, I have a high ticket price and I don't
mm,
work with many people. But
mm,
this could change. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know, next
it's,
month there could be the
it's a fluid.
donation. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
it's
It's just
fluid.
what you
Yeah,
feel aligned to do.
that's right.
There's no set of rule.
No,
And
and
I
I think
find
you're
that
right with that exchange is so important. It needs to be that, it's not like somebody's getting something for nothing.
no,
It
there's no
needs to
such
be,
thing as
there
getting.
is no. So there needs to be that kind of, that energetic exchange. And then when people are then you're on the session with people, there is that already the sort of the foundation is already set and they're ready to listen and they're attentive and share
Yes.
and they're already in a good place for that, to have that session. And yeah, and then as you say, like, once they are off, you know, maybe I was just one little step along the way, because
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
just you
Until
just
it's not
never
needed anymore.
no, you never know. I mean, you never know when that consciousness will appear, and when that realization will come. It could come. uh that's the thing, like, I don't know what is your conditioning, what's going on with you, so I can't say, if I could just connect these and say, and there you go, and you would recognize your true nature. Like, it's not like that.
Or
uh,
even after there's unpacking still going on. Like,
yeah,
oh, I
that's
see this. Oh, I believe this, so that, what
yeah,
I need to believe this so that I can receive that. Okay, can I
yeah,
stop wanting to receive this and then
yeah,
believing that at the same
yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah,
Say
yeah,
I say if I have this tendency to feel wrong, I am wrong, and I have to feel that I am wrong so that I can receive love. If that was my conditioning, Then after realization, you see it.
Hmm.
Like, oh, okay, can I let go of wanting to receive love? And at the same
Hmm.
time, I release the need to feel to believe that I am wrong.
Yes.
And both of them are just one side of the same coin. So
Yeah.
if I can accelerate that for people, then I find there's a value in that. And I
Yes.
can do it because I did it for myself and I'm still doing it.
Yes.
It's not
Yeah. Because it's
all
not like,
over.
no, that's right. It's not like we're just, sitting at the end of the road at the finish line here, like,
No.
encouraging all the runners,
We
to
are
come.
at the finish line, but we still can still get caught up and say like, "Oops, okay, let's just
Yeah. So
back."
we're all, like I say, we're all in this together, and just, self-realization, the actual epiphany of recognizing your true nature is one
One thing
one
or
one
gradual
thing.
thing, whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there's an ongoing um,
Ongoing. Yeah.
refinement and unwinding, and that goes on
And I
with
found that when people invest, they shift their perception of themselves. They suddenly feel more empowered,
mm,
and that's really nice.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like okay, enough, and I'm ready, and that's what I did for myself. That's why I proposed this thing. But if it's just what we like, kind of, I cannot propose anything I didn't do in my direct experience, proof in my
That's
direct experience. And I was never a meditator, so I cannot really take anyone along this path of meditation. Or although they're like, if you after realization, it's just like if you enjoy it, you do it
mm,
less with this quest of going somewhere, but it has its usefulness for those who went through that path, which I didn't. So
yeah. I think I love the approach that you take with people, and it's just giving them that sense that there's nothing wrong with you. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now, and so accept that. Accept it fully. Be exactly where you are right now. There's nothing wrong with what's going on with with
and do
your
you
life.
feel like we can also at the same time shift with, even though we know there's no person, we shift to a growth mindset? Kind of, what is supporting my growth as a human in the human experience, as this
Mhm.
human character? And it's a different, for me, it shifted from trying to better myself
Mhm.
to aligning with what support the growth or the expansion of the character and the human experience.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I definitely, I love using flower analogies because I think it's maybe just because I live in the nature here, but it's like this ever blossoming flower. It never reaches full bloom. It just keeps blossoming and blossoming and blossoming. And it's that constant, the growth of that, if you want to say,
Hmm.
not settling and just seeing where life takes you,
Where
where you can, what unfolds for you,
what
like.
wants to happen.
Yeah, what wants to happen, as we said right at the very beginning, like you're not limited by beliefs anymore. And if I do this or I really want to do that, and this kind of very, very fragile and unstable, finite thinking. Um,
That says I can't, or this will happen and you might fail. And
yeah,
when
what
this
happened?
is not there, there's no
Yeah, all of these
failure. It's just
limitations.
exploration. Let's explore and see.
Yeah,
And,
it's
all
the
right, I
curiosity.
stumble and fumble. It's okay. Like there's no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Oh, I fell over. Okay, I picked myself up and carry on again. Like, who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's yeah, you start to, as we said before, like you trust. There's more trust in the process. There's more trust in the universe. There's more trust
Mm.
uh, in the evolution of the character through that alignment with your true nature. And it's like this flower that just grows brighter and continues to blossom and blossom and blossom, and we don't know which way it will go. Will it change color? Will it grow more petals? Will it
Yeah,
another branch shoot out of it? Like we just don't know. Who can predict? Like nobody can predict. So
yeah.
and that's the beauty of it. See, when we're in this. limited mindset of, and we're governed by fear, as you say, and we're constantly trying to control or and we
Yep, to a future place
yeah, get
and
to
a
this
future
this
moment.
future expectation, and that's why these internet tarot readers and horoscopes, they love all that, because it's all this kind of it will be better tomorrow. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Tomorrow, next week is going to be, amazing because
yeah,
of
yeah. And where is next week?
where is the
And you
planet
start to look
planets are
at
there,
where is next week. Oh, it's in my thought here.
so it's like, but it's this constant expectation, it's that
Yeah.
again, to use another Zen quote, there's this beautiful proverb which I heard, which always sticks with me, which is, if you want to walk the path of the Buddhas and Zen masters, expect nothing, seek nothing, grasp nothing.
Mm.
And just when you really sit with that, you really sit in that not grasping, not seeking, not expecting. You're really in that moment. You're resting as your true self.
Mm.
Can you then stay in that place of not grasping, not seeking, not expecting, and see what unfolds from there, with
And just
no,
as you say that, I hear the birds more.
yeah,
Yeah, all the songs are present.
just right here.
Yeah,
And it's a wonderful way of just keep coming, go back to that, what you are in this moment, and that's all there ever is.
yeah,
Yeah.
all there
And
ever
then,
was.
yeah, that's where the true growth comes in alignment with what we are.
In alignment, that's it. Stay in alignment with ease, effortlessness,
Yeah,
joy, contribution without depletion,
yeah.
giving and receiving. Yeah, it's beautiful. I remember as a kid, a little bit like you, when I would go to family gathering and I would go upstairs in the bed to rest while I was hearing people downstairs.
Mm.
There was this sense of relaxation of just, I was sleeping in it.
I know what you mean. Yeah. You've
I do
separated from
remember
that
that.
kind of hubbub, all that chaos that's going on, and you can
Yes.
just step out of it.
Background noise while I was just resting. It was
Yeah.
kind of feeling really safe,
Yeah.
feeling, and I had the same feeling when I would, when you're a child and you get sick and you can't go to school.
Hmm.
And I would be in the bed during the day and then I'll
Yeah.
get some soup and just rest and hear the surrounding because I don't really sleep during the day. I was just
Mm.
resting in that space of effortless awareness. So when the
Uh,
recognition came, I was like, oh, it's the same awareness.
yes.
Always here. It never changed.
I know. It's so comical, like when you recognize it. Hey, it's just like you're just like, oh my God, why didn't I see this before? Like it's
Yeah.
so simple.
How could I believe? How could I not see it?
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
but
that
the
the
mind came so
expectation.
strongly for me after. It was really turbulent, awful.
Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah. It was really like a big ride.
but
But
that
the recognition
expectation,
was so
though,
clear. Huh?
that expectation, going back to that, is what stops us recognizing true nature. Because in many respects, I was working with some person a couple of weeks back on a Zoom call, and I was just, they were right there, pointing right there, but there was this expectation of something else. Oh,
Ah. Oh
waiting,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
the very subtle waiting for something to happen. Like,
It's
what's gonna, and I was like, what are you waiting for? What is it? What kind of experience are you waiting for? Like there's nothing other than just this.
there's
But
nothing.
there's that desiring for experience, very subtle. Even when you point, come straight down, straight into true nature, and they're right there. But you can
Still
tell, you can
expecting a
see
little.
that little expectation of something to happen.
Yeah,
And it's kind
yeah.
of
And it
tricky.
might be reinforced by the story of those who had. I mean, I was one of those who was really, really invested in the person.
Mm.
And so for me, that was a big contrast. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. And I was crying of relief. But this is just like it depends to the degree of which the contrast will appear to
Yeah,
be. I was deeply separated, like
yeah,
separate, separate,
yeah,
separate, and suddenly saw this awareness that,
yeah.
and there was this
But
big thing, but it's not a big thing. Some people are already living this,
that's
and
right. It's
they're
the
just
problem
not
here.
recognizing it.
Yeah, it's the problem when you hear, and that's why when you do too much seeking, you end up hearing all these stories of awakening experiences, and yeah, for some it can be, as you say, a big contrast. If you know, we never know when consciousness will reveal itself. You just don't know. So you could, the famous example was Eckhart Tolle, who was not a seeker. He suddenly had recognized his true nature and then was like, my God, what on earth has happened? And then he started, the research for another couple of years, reading books and trying to find out what had happened to himself. But
Yeah,
that came afterwards. And
yeah.
that can happen with people. It can come. There's a very good book, which I have on my shelf here called Extraordinary Awakenings by a guy called Steve Taylor. And that documents awakenings. Um, from people who have experienced severe trauma from being maybe in a car crash or being incarcerated and suddenly in jail, like you're
Ah,
suddenly incarcerated, like,
mm-hmm,
you know, that type of shocking experience
mm-hmm.
can
Yeah,
often trigger a realization.
mm-hmm.
So that for those, that's a tremendous contrast.
Yeah,
Like in my own case, it was I had done a lot of seeking before and I had a lot of reading over about 15
yeah.
years. So when there was a recognition, it was kind of like, oh,
Oh, just oh,
oh, it's
yeah,
just that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
that's what it was.
So
Now,
it's
I'm
never
not
like
saying like it wasn't
one way.
tricky. There was a bit of, that I was a bit discombobulated for a while.
Hmm.
Um, so it, and as we've already talked about today, that integration is a lot of things can come up which need to be seen and allowed to disperse.
Mm-mm.
Um, but yeah, for many that can be quite a contrast from
And
that.
sometimes not. So for those looking for a contrast, then it's not a contrast. It's okay.
That's right.
You're already there. You've already seen it. That's it. You've
Yes.
seen it enough. It's
Right.
coming back to there's not people say like, well, I wait for this big moment. But no, it's like now you're just adopting a thought that it should be a big moment. It might and it might not. It depends. Some people are gradually, and it's beautiful. Gradual is beautiful because sudden sometimes is quite
It's quite
shocking.
difficult. Yes.
Yeah, I was not seeking, so I had to learn. I had to do it backwards. Like after, I was like, "What is non-duality? What
What,
are you
what
speaking
what
of?
on earth has happened? Yeah, yeah.
Crazy!"
Yeah.
But it's good. And any way it comes, it comes. And it doesn't have
It,
to be a big moment. It can be
no, and
just
it will
lying with
come.
effortless being, and you're already functioning from your infinite nature.
Yeah, and it will come for all. It's coming. The world is waking up, and it will
Is
come
it?
for
Because I'm
everybody.
like, I don't know. Is it in our world? It is. At large? I don't know.
In our little non-dual community.
Yes, yes.
Everybody's awake with us.
And this is our world, right?
Yeah. But think though, I mean, think about the people that have come in that you've become in contact with. I mean, not only likes of ourselves who have kind of recognized our true nature, but those who have yet to, but are still drawn to you. Like the guy that in the gym this morning. People
Yeah.
just beautiful, beautiful exchanges
Yes.
with people that
Yes.
are just so in alignment. And they come and they go and they come and they go like clouds passing through the sky. It's really really, really beautiful and divine.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we just need a confirmation. And that's why David Bingham is so powerful in his teaching because he's not gonna compromise.
No.
Like, no, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Now deal with stuff. I'm not dealing with this stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
confirming you've seen it and you don't
Yeah.
need
Yeah. Yeah.
confirmation. That's it.
Yeah. He's good at
Now
that.
let me be.
leave me alone. Yeah, just leave me
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
Yeah, he's very good at that, and rightly so, because if he helped everybody week by week through their integration, he would have no life of
No
his
time
own.
for doing this. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
And
nice.
because ultimately he's so right because ultimately like it'll
There's no
just
integration ultimately. You see, like,
no, ultimately there's no integration, but it'll just work its way out by itself. And you need to allow it to work its way out by itself.
yeah,
You need to see it for yourself. You
that's
need to
it.
see
That's it.
your own condition.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
need
yeah.
to see your own subconscious programming because
Yeah.
otherwise it's somebody
He's not
external.
gonna, yeah, mix in because I remember exchanging email with him where I would like describe something. It was way before. He has more people now, and he wouldn't. I don't think he would have any time to. I don't know what he's doing or if he has time or no time, but he would not answer at length ever because
No.
he's not gonna be mixing in and adding the flavor of the mind, and then I needed to figure things out by myself.
Yes.
And that's the most powerful thing. That's why I find that when I help or support or I bring something to people that comes, is mostly I will question. It's more question that I
Mm.
don't bring answer. I mean, I bring more question or
Yeah.
discovery or exploration around a question they have,
Yeah.
where we can like explore different
Yeah.
perspective from, and that's opening.
Yeah, that's right. There's a type of sort of not therapy, but a way of questioning when you're in a therapeutic relationship. It's called motivational interviewing, and I don't I use it sometimes, not a lot, but I did a bit of training on it, and I sometimes use it, and it's very good for just not not superimposing your own thinking and feelings onto the other, but turning it back, just saying like, what do you feel? You said this or that, why is that? What makes you feel that? And just continually sort of allowing them to come up with the answers because all the answers are within you anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
but the issue is that they're looking to someone else to give you the answer,
yeah, yeah.
so that's the issue. So with this kind of motivational interviewing, you're constantly turning it back so that they and 9 times out of 10 they'll solve their own problem.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They'll solve their own issue, whatever that might be.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I still do
And
it.
and it's the same with what we are talking about in our when we're working with people that the part of the problem is that they are looking to an outside source for an answer,
Yes, yeah.
whereas I want to
Or a
point you
value,
back to
or yeah,
yourself or
a
confirmation
confirmation or a value.
that they
Yeah,
are correct, or
yeah,
whatever. So that's everything is within them. So it's that really just
access,
turning it back, pointing
accessing that
them into
wisdom.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and energetics, I find it's mostly not words but energy.
Yeah.
Coming into this energy of when I show up for a group, it's just this spontaneity and this joy of being there, and that's the transmission that is mostly. It's not done from the person; it's just done from resting in this effortlessness of being,
Yeah.
which everyone aligns to and feel nourished. And but I'm not doing it as the character. That's the beauty. That's effortless, and this energetic is kind of just energy expressing, and then
Yeah.
go about your life, and then there's less
Yeah,
seriousness,
so you influence. It's
unity.
interesting
Yeah.
because you're not trying to. We're not really trying to do anything. We're just living our
Yeah.
life, and any kind of help or change or is just really done just by influence.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you're helping by influence,
Yeah. And it's
rather than
interesting.
actually trying to do something.
Influence, I read recently, I heard, and it makes total sense. You can never influence someone to do something they don't want to do for themselves.
No, no. And I butt my head against this day in, day out because my job title is a mental health recovery coach. So, but I cannot coach anybody to recover if they do not want to recover
No.
themselves.
No.
Recovery must come from them.
Yes.
And that's just a prerequisite. So if they do not want to change, there is nothing I can do.
No.
That being said, you know, you can approach these things as we've already discussed from this deeper place of knowing and your true nature and there is a certain aroma, shall we say
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
comes from that,
Yeah.
which can maybe gently influence proceedings or influence the
Mhm.
atmosphere, or influence the dynamic of that relationship.
Mhm.
Just as you want a flower to grow and you give it some water, or you radiate that sunshine that is
Yeah.
required for
Cannot force it to open.
you cannot force it to open. No, you cannot. And yeah, it always comes back to that point. So that's why you rightly say
We just
you
show up.
you just show up and you live your life and that's it. And if
Yeah.
somebody resonates with that, great. If they don't, that's
Yeah.
also fine.
Yeah. And that's really a frequency. You just show up
Yeah.
and curious and show up and I
Yeah.
just show up and see what's happening and
Let's see what happens
really
today.
nice. I love it. You don't want to leave anymore. Yeah, as soon as it becomes too effortful, it's like, oh, well, not interested.
Yeah, that's right. You feel it, don't you? You just, oh, that's enough of that.
Yeah. And I think I would end with this if people want to find some alignment. I would say that when we start to fall into a trap of trying to convince anyone of anything, that's everything.
Yes.
Any
Yeah.
trying to obtain, trying to get a result, chasing something, grasping, just be open, relax, stop the movement
Mhm.
that is bringing you into contraction. And that comes with when we realize and it leaks by the throat and we want to bring everyone in. That's the convincing. That's allow it to drop
Yeah.
down and just
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I feel that very strongly. I was talking to my friend Brian O'Connor a few days ago, and he's an actor. I used to be a professional classical musician, and when I think back to my days as a musician, when I was striving and striving to be famous and to be well known and to be loved and to be seen
ah,
here and seen there, and writing my biography saying, David has done this amazing thing and David's done that amazing thing, and all these amazing people have said all these wonderful things about how amazing David is, and and when I think back to those days and all that efforting, compared to now, it's just comical. You
yeah, yeah.
because none of it is real. It's just, we're just floating through this existence. None of it's real.
No,
Um, it appears real, but it's not.
no. We're
You
just
know,
swimming in it.
yeah, we're just swimming through and going where it goes. And if it all ends right now, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. We die every night.
Didn't we talk before? Yeah, we die every night. Didn't we talk before about constant rebirthing? I'm sure we talked about that a couple of
Well,
years ago.
yeah, every second,
Every
every
second we're rebirthing, we're being born every
yeah.
second.
It's
It's
nice
crazy.
to look at your day like that, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
wake up and it's a new day, you're reborn. You
This
don't have to
constant
carry
birth, yeah,
yesterday.
this constant birthing and dying and
And
birthing and
even
dying
every second, every
every second. Yeah, that's
well,
right. Well, it
I'm
was
really
nice. I love
happy. It was
catching up with
nice
you.
seeing you. I'm really happy that you
Yeah,
infinite being has guided your movement and
yeah. No, likewise. It's
and
really great. It's so amazing that we have this connection, and
it is.
yeah, it just
I'm
happened.
going to meet Robert in Amsterdam.
So I heard. Yeah, you guys are going
Yeah.
on a cruise.
Yeah, we're going on a cruise. Julie's going on a cruise. Isn't it weird?
Wow.
It's nice. I never thought this would come in my life, like Baltic
Yeah.
Sea. I love visiting cities and I love the
Oh, yeah.
contrast of the country and city, so I
Mm.
enjoy both. And we might meet even someone else. I don't have her name right. She's she's someone who spoke with David Bingham on his channel, and she lives in Amsterdam. I've never met her, but I saw a few videos
Okay.
of her,
Okay.
so we might meet. Is it funny?
Fantastic. Great.
It's so nice.
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. And you
Yeah.
guys have written a book together, which is fantastic, which I just ordered the other day. So I'm
Oh,
looking
nice.
for, yeah, I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to
Hey,
reading.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. The book got written through us.
Mm,
I find from a conversation we had. We had a
mm,
conversation and about effortless abundance and allowing ourselves to receive and give without
mm.
contraction. You know, when you
Yeah.
spend money, instead of saying like, "Oh, I'm depleting myself of something," just spend with gratitude and then it comes
Mm,
back in gratitude and it's
yeah.
just an exchange of energy because money is
Yeah.
still just a symbol.
Yeah.
And when you live it not as a concept, because it can be a nice mental concept. But if you live it energetically, as a when I pay something, I'm really grateful and I feel abundant. And I'm
Mm,
grateful to be able to pay for an experience. I feel the
mm,
abundance when I pay. And I can receive with gratitude as well, because it's the same channel as you open the channel
mm, mm,
to give, you open the channel to receive equally. And with money, it's kind of our nervous system that has to adjust. Sometimes you want to spend bigger number, but it's like, oh my God, this is really expensive. But once you
mm.
spend more, you realize it becomes normal.
Yeah.
And it becomes normal to spend more and receive more. It's not that we accumulate more.
No.
It's just playing with bigger number. That's my experience.
Mm.
And it's okay to play with small number, big number. It doesn't mean anything. And the flowers are the
No, it's
same
no, just a
flower.
game anyway. Yeah.
It's just fun coupon. That's how I called him. And so the book kind of came through
Mm,
with our conversation. Robert said, you know, there's a lot in our conversation. Maybe we should do something with it.
mm,
And then we exchange about the book, and so reread and then exchange about
mm,
it, and it took form effortlessly. And
mm,
then I felt it would be fun to have a podcast and we can do 12 episodes.
mm,
And in each of them, we will explore that one chapter of the book. That's what we just
mm,
started last week with the
mm,
first chapter is let go of struggle.
mm.
It's coming back, starting from truth, struggle are not existent. Struggle are thinking. There's no struggle if you stay with existence in this
Mm.
moment and start from that premise, and even trying to find the one that's struggling. If you want to look a little bit below the surface, you'll see that the struggler doesn't exist. There might be struggling
I'm
appearing.
the struggler. Yeah.
No one.
That's great. No, it's amazing to see what you're doing now.
And we want to do an experiment. So
Mm,
we invite people to join us for a period of 3 months where we will integrate each chapter in our daily experience.
mm,
Because I find with realization, the thing that was the most helpful for me was to find information about how to be living the human experience from this recognition in the most practical way, because that's what we want. We're not looking for enlightenment to have like lofty concept. We just want to be happy.
yes.
And then how can I integrate? If I integrate these in my life and I see my life is changing, then I'm like, it's even more trust grows and it grows.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
That's right.
we
And that's
want
how
it to be a practical thing.
yeah, lofty concepts just cause a lot of separation in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And when
And
we
so you are about what you're doing. If we end with this, you're receiving people on Zoom call, right?
yeah, so even though I'm working full time at the charity, the mental health charity, but I'm also open for people on Zoom calls so they can get in touch via the website, effortlessbeing.org.
Mm,
And so, yeah, I just basically, when I'm not working, I just leave my schedule open. And just like
okay.
you were saying, just like it's just open so anybody can, like an open door, so anybody can come in. And yeah, people can just book when I'm available, basically. So if they go on the website and they can see when I'm free, and just simply book on the site. It's really, really easy. So yeah, I found that it's been really great. I've met so many really amazing people from all over the world have joined for calls and effortless pointing and
Yeah.
this
And from
discussion
effortless being, we have friends everywhere
everywhere.
because we meet in this space of being. It's
Yeah,
just so there's no fear of the other, there is no mistrust, there is, and I find it quite a contrast when I am with people who are living in fear of the
yeah.
other and mistrust. And
Suspicion and things. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
That's
like,
right.
wow.
I think we said to each other, I'm sure it was the very first time we had a chat, I think I said to you, like, it feels like we've known each other forever.
That's it. It feels
It's,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
so nice. It's so intimate.
It's just,
We
it
know
is, yeah.
each
I'm
other
sure that's what
as
you said, actually. I'm sure that's what you said at the time as well. It's just so intimate. And yeah, it's an amazing thing. So yeah, really grateful to you,
me
Julie.
too. So fun. So so fun. And it's not it, I was about to say it gets more and more fun.
Yeah.
And the frequency I love is I am absolutely in love with what is,
Mm.
and at the same time excited for what is to unfold.
Yes. Oh, what a beautiful way to end the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell.
Well, thank you for joining.
No, thank you,
Right.
Julie. You take care. We should do this
Take
again.
care. Yes, absolutely. Yes. All
Okay.
right. And
All right.
much blessing and all abundance to you.
And to you. You take
Okay.
care.
Bye.
You. Bye.